Story 1. There are different levels of attraction. When I'm physically attracted to someone, it feels like whoa, and I can feel it in my entire downstairs. When I'm attracted to someone for who they are, every new thing I learn about them grows into a happy feeling in my heart and head. I get butterflies in my stomach and feel nervous, and that can eventually turn into desire. I can adore someone so much that I start to get turned on by the way they say or do certain things. Story 2. Desire, butterflies, nerves, intensity, passion, craving. Story 3. If this is a new person, you think about them and smile, whether they are present or not. If it is someone you have known for a long time, the feeling is a desire for more of them, like wanting an extra scoop of ice cream when you are tempted. Story 4. Reading the answers here makes me question if I've ever truly been attracted to anyone in my life. I thought I had been, but now I'm not so sure. Story 5. With my wife, I still sometimes feel that looking at her gives me sustenance. It is as if simply seeing her feeds me. Story 6. One of two ways, depending on personality. 1. Oh my God, hyperfixates. 2. Well, crap. Story 7. Have you ever experienced stage fright? That butterflies in your stomach feeling? Imagine a version of that feeling that feels good rather than bad. Thinking about someone can give you pleasant feelings. Talking to them can make you nervous and self-conscious, but if they respond positively, it feels like walking on air, like reading a book you love when the book always has more interesting chapters and the author is writing specifically for you. Receiving compliments from them feels great because it means someone who matters to you thinks highly of you. Conversely, being overlooked or ignored feels terrible because it means you do not matter to them even though they matter to you. It is not anyone's fault, but it still feels bad. Attraction can range from a tiny tug, simply enjoying being around a person, all the way up to full-blown obsession with intrusive thoughts and unhealthy coping mechanisms. Some people rarely feel attracted to others. Some experience it often or easily, which can be normal or, for example, a desperate grasping for emotional connection. Story 8. It's like seeing colors you didn't know existed. Suddenly they brighten your world, and you feel an effortless yet electric pull toward them. Story 9. It's not all goddamn I want to get them alone and naked, though that's part of it. Their jokes are funny and their comments insightful. It's the emotional equivalent of the sun coming out from behind a cloud when they walk into a room, and it feels like it's been raining nonstop for as long as you haven't seen them. You feel at your best and wittiest when talking with them, though sometimes you step in it in your enthusiasm. It's a heck of a drug. Story 10. I never want to stop looking at him. The idea of his face alone makes me smile. He is a perfect piece of art. After 13 years, I still get butterflies when he smiles. I want him near for the pleasure of seeing him and everything he has to offer. It feels exciting, sensual, romantic, and safe all at once when I look at his gorgeous, perfect face and body. Story 11. The fact that I do not understand or relate to any of these answers has given me the answer to the question I have been asking myself. I do not think I have ever had a crush or been in love. I can find women physically attractive and have felt lust, but never love. I fooled myself into thinking I had a crush by pursuing a girl who liked me, but I realized I felt nothing for her. I am only 17 years old, so maybe it is too early for me, but the fact that I am halfway through high school and have never had any sort of crush is also strange and worrying. I fantasize about being in love, so I guess that is a start. Or maybe I am doomed to be alone. Story 12. It is painful when they do not reciprocate your feelings. Story 13. On one hand, it is bliss. When you are with them, you feel like you are living instead of surviving. You can barely control your smile. As a smoker, I forget I even smoke. On the other hand, it is hell. You miss them when they are not around. Even if they do not miss you, you are constantly reminded of them. Oh, they would laugh about that. Oh, they would love this. The worst part is being placed in the friend zone, especially when you have been on a date and are told you did nothing wrong. They just do not see a relationship. You feel like your body is overheating, like there is a void in your chest. You cannot sleep properly and have no appetite. If you manage to eat something, you feel sick. The most upsetting part is that you want them to be happy, but at the same time it hurts to find out they are happy with the situation. I know I use you a lot, but it is more from my point of view. Story 14. You feel a magnetic attraction, and the thought of being even in their presence warms you. Story 15. I feel like there are two feelings. The first is a burning desire, like an artist who has an epiphany and must get his hands on the clay to pour his passion into it and realize his vision. The second is similar but also includes a feeling of happiness, a joyful anticipation of spending time with her, being content to enjoy her smile and the small things while still feeling that same burning passion. Story 16. Being in a room full of people and they are the only person you can look at. You are normally shy, but when talking to them you feel unusually talkative. You cancel plans with others, but as soon as you learn they are going you change your mind. When you look at them you cannot help smiling, and if they point out how much you are smiling you realize you did not even notice. You feel an overwhelming sense of excitement when you are near them. There are many more, but these are a few that I think pinpoint what it feels like to be attracted to someone. Story 17. They mirror who I want to be as a person, which draws me toward them. Story 18. You want to spend all your time with them and be as close as possible, but you are nervous they might not feel the same, so you avoid them to prevent making a fool of yourself. When they are away, they take up a lot of space in your mind. That's how uneasy. Everyone else is different, of course, but the chemicals in our brains make us think, feel, and behave in strange ways to encourage reproduction. I do not know whether you are attracted to someone, original poster, but I hope it goes well if you are. Story 19. I do not know about general attraction because I have not been in a relationship in a long time, but I know the right person will make you feel peaceful and calm. They should evoke an inner resonance and a vibration, like the sun glowing within you. Anyone who makes you feel nervous or unable to relax and be yourself is not right. Story 20. I die for him. He gives me a reason to get out of bed even on my worst days. The sun seems to shine brighter when we're together, and I can't remember a time I was happier. Story 21. I met a woman and we had this crazy attraction I could not explain. I did not know her and she did not know me. We looked at each other and it felt like we already knew one another. We both wanted each other. We hooked up for a few months. It was just physical until she got married. I told her it was over. I could never explain why we had that attraction. It was fun and nice while it lasted. Fun fact, I don't believe in love at first sight or things like that, so it was strange for both of us. Story 22. It is beautiful. You just feel joy within whenever you are close to them. Story 23. If someone is attracted to you, you'll know it. They will look you in the eyes, pay close attention to what you are saying, laugh at your jokes even if they are not good, and perhaps ask you questions. If you are steering the conversation and the person does not seem engaged, they are probably not attracted to you. Story 24. After reading all the comments, I guess my partner and I are not attracted to each other anymore. Story 25. It feels like absolute garbage because you know that regardless of what you do, the person will not reciprocate. Story 26. It is an instinct of devotion. You want to do so much for that person and do not know why. Certain parts of that person just make you happy. If you see them all the time, they are like an unread book you want to read all night long, no matter its contents. Story 27. It's like watching a cooking show when you're hungry, and sometimes there's no way to cook what you're watching them make. Story 28. If the world were ending, you would want to be next to them. Story 29. From a biological perspective, being attracted to someone triggers a cascade of physical and chemical reactions in the body and brain. Here is what happens. 1. Brain chemistry changes. Dopamine surge. Attraction activates the brain's reward system, releasing dopamine, which creates feelings of pleasure, excitement, and intense focus on the person. Norepinephrine increase. This chemical raises alertness and heart rate, causing the butterflies in the stomach sensation and a heightened sense of energy. Decreased serotonin. Levels of serotonin may drop, leading to obsessive thoughts and preoccupation with the person. Story 30. Which type of attraction? Physical, sexual, emotional, or mental? Story 31. Do you mean simply seeing a stranger and thinking he is attractive? or being in a relationship and feeling attraction to someone physically, sexually, emotionally, and spiritually. Those are very different experiences. Are you asking about the emotional experience or the physical one? Story 32. I see someone and want to pursue them if they're single. I make flirtatious remarks. If they respond, I escalate. You need to look for boundaries and blocking. Boundaries can sometimes be worked around. Blocking is final. Attractiveness and where you want to go are chemical effects. Lust, beauty, woes, and foes naturally go with the flow, and it might be so. Story 33. An adrenaline rush. Looking at them makes me feel confused and excited. What if questions flood my mind? Story 34. You want to be around them all the time and have their full attention, but when that happens, you shy away. Story 35. You feel like licking or biting them because you are so excited to see them. Story 36. It is a literal chemical reaction in your brain. Your heart rate goes up a little, sometimes a lot. You get tunnel vision. Everything else fades into gray and you see only that person. If they get really close, this intensifies and you become hyper-aware of their presence. And there is the good old-fashioned arousal. Story 37. It calms my nervous system. I do not feel bad, confused, or inclined to second-guess myself. Story 38. There are different ways to be attracted to someone and different levels. Physical and sexual attraction can be an afterthought you do not even realize. For example, thinking someone has a nice butt and then going on about your day. Intense romantic attraction usually feels distressing. It makes you nervous, as if you want to cry or vomit. Can also feel like a soothing warmth in your body, which usually occurs when the feeling is reciprocated. Story 39. Have you ever seen a nice car pass by and thought, wow, I like that and I kind of want one? Story 40. For me, it is hard to feel, but when I do, I have an intense desire to be near and to please someone. I get giddy and excited when speaking with them. Story 41. It is a strange mix of butterflies and the urge to know everything about them. Can be a total head rush sometimes. You just want to be around them all the time. Story 42. This is the kind of question bringing artificial intelligence closer to Battlestar Galactica. Story 43. You cannot breathe. You have bats in your belly and wet pants. Story 44. Thinking about this person makes you smile. You want to be around them and make them smile as well. A few things to be aware of. 1. Be an adult. Not everyone will like you the way you want. Accept that and move on with your life if the attraction is not returned. 2. You are not responsible for their happiness. 3. You will not agree on everything. In fact, you may not fully agree on anything. Do not take offense if their views differ from yours. Depending on the level of difference, this person may still be a good friend who, if nothing else, offers a perspective you might find hard to grasp. Story 45. I wouldn't know. I turned that part of my brain off. It's best for people like me to accept that I'll be alone for the rest of my life. It gets easier as time passes. At my age, life is happier alone, and I actually prefer it now. Story 46. Unpleasant and frustrating for men. Pleasant and cute for women. Story 47. It's a feeling imprinted in our state of mind that compels us to do what is necessary to reach her, see her, or speak with her. It's a feeling of relaxed happiness that life is good, at least for the time being. Story 48. It feels like you are possessed, and that possession means everything to you now. Your mornings and nights, everything, are filled with him. Even his thought in your mind feels like it completes something in you. You love that destruction. You forget yourself and only he remains. It makes me want to be that person. I want his smile, his lips. I want to be connected to everything he is connected to. You adopt his likes. His strengths empower you. His choices leave you without choice. His decisions become the ones you make. You want to give everything to him and accept every loss for it. Your heart grows indifferent to anything that does not include him. You fly without wings and fight without weapons in every battle that obstructs your way to him. That's it. Story 49. It's as if you are attracted to them. You want to be closer to them than you are now. Story 50. A dream that ends in nothing and leaves the sleeper where he lay down. But I wish you to know that you inspired it. Sidney Carton, A Tale of Two Cities, Charles Dickens. Story 51. If it is solely physical, the signs usually appear in the trouser region. If it is more than physical, it involves feeling excited and nervous when you are around the person. Your thoughts may drift to them in many situations. For me, it was a pull toward that person, a simple desire to be near them. Story 52. I have many infatuations. You focus on them and let that focus unsettle you with fantasies. Story 53. Sometimes you smile at someone before they even know you are there. Then they turn, look up, see you, and smile back, and that fluttering in your belly starts. With someone you are not attracted to, you may still feel happy after a look or a chat, but you do not get the warm fuzzies. When the attraction is mutual, you can feel it in a look or a smile, a touch on the arm, or some friendly flirting that leaves you almost breathless. At least that is how it is for me. Story 54. You should listen to this podcast. The host interviews comedians about crushes and that part of human nature. Story 55. I think the best parallel is hunger. When you are hungry, you feel a desire to eat. Many foods might be appetizing. Food that looks exceptionally good would be amazing, but something close at hand may be fine and enjoyable. Sometimes food looks so good you were not even hungry before, but seeing it makes your mouth literally water. Love is like that, but the obsession is for one specific food. Getting hungry makes you think only of that food, not of anything else. When the obsession pays off and you get that food, it makes other food pale in comparison. You find yourself less interested in other options. Items that once made your mouth water when you were not even hungry no longer elicit that reaction. Being hungry does not mean you eat something convenient, because you know it will not be anywhere near as good as the food you love. You would rather wait hungry for the real thing than settle for anything else. Story 56. For me, it is a little anxiety and obsession at the start. I have a history of being abused. They are on my mind all the time, and I worry about everything imaginable when it comes to them. This is incredibly hard to hide and has ruined potential relationships. When I lose sleep over someone, that is when I know. Story 57. It is a question that is more complicated than it seems, because there are different kinds of attraction. My favorite is when simply being around someone makes you happy and more relaxed. Story 58. It can feel obsessive, laughing out loud. Sometimes you just wish you had never known about somebody's existence. But if it works out, wow, that is a great feeling. Story 59. It's like seeing the last slice of pizza, but you're too shy to grab it. Story 60. When I am attracted to the whole person, they are already my friend, and I am excited to see them. When it is time to go beyond friendship, it can be a bit nerve-wracking, but in small steps I find a way. My best friend becomes my love, and it is wonderful. Story 61. They smell good. They look good. You want to stay longer and see them again. You want to message and talk to them. You wonder about them and think of them, and you smile while doing so. Story 62. You want to be close to them. You are afraid of doing or saying the wrong thing around them. When you are right next to them, it feels as if you could fall asleep and be completely safe. Story 63. Being in awe when you see them and imagining sharing intimate moments with them. Story 64. It is hard to describe, but it means I am always thinking about a person and want to spend time with them. I can tell whether it is an I want to be their friend feeling or an I like them feeling. Other signs include my heart pounding when they are around and my eyes drifting toward them when we are in a group. Story 65. It is like wanting to talk to them so much and having conversations in your head, but the moment they start talking to you, you have the urge to run and hide. Story 66. It is like your brain turns into scrambled eggs and your stomach has a small earthquake every time they walk by, but in a good way. Story 67. I felt stunned, like Michael Corleone in The Godfather when he is in Sicily and sees his wife in the village. That is how I felt with my ex. Story 68. It happened to me many times, but I ignored them because I never liked any of them. I was just a chill guy back then. Story 69. You are always nervous yet giddy to meet them the next time and cannot stop thinking about them because you know you will love the experience. I know it sounds cliché, but from my experience it is true. Story 70. This is how it feels when two magnets are brought close to each other. Story 71. Rotten, especially when you are not the cream of the crop. Story 72. It is a feeling you cannot explain, and even if you try to describe it to someone else, they will still not understand. Story 73. Everything you see and experience competes to become a topic of conversation you would like to share with the other person, and nothing wins, so you end up saying nothing. Story 74. When you can force mutual attraction, but it never lasts. Story 75. It feels like a mix of excitement and nervousness. Your heart skips a beat just thinking about them. Story 76. In a single day, you can feel every emotion under the sun, from good to bad, with them and still not want to be anywhere else. Story 77. You know the opening of a Pokemon pack? The excitement of knowing there's a guaranteed rare and maybe even a holographic one. All the different Pokemon and card designs. Some you've never seen before and will enjoy. They might make you feel relaxed, amused, or reflective. Other designs you won't be a big fan of. You can still appreciate them a bit, but they're definitely not keepers, especially if it's a really basic common card like Rattata or Drowsy. Even if the artwork is nice, the overwhelming chance of drawing one makes it meh at best. There's the hope and excitement of flipping over a rare, holographic card. Even if the design is low quality, the holographic finish brings out sparkles depending on how you hold it. We all had our favorite Pokemon, and when we drew a card of that one, especially if it was rare and holographic, we would grin for the rest of the night. We'd show it off to friends and family. They'd know it was our favorite without us saying anything. Kinda like that. This turned into a little rant. Hopefully it makes some sense. Oh, and you know the new Pokemon pack smell? It's like that too. Story 78. Hard to explain to the rational brain, irrational feelings. It's just unconscious. Story 79. Imagine your favorite food. It is sitting on your kitchen counter, fresh and prepared by the best chef. Now imagine you are in the next room very hungry, and you know your favorite food is there, beautiful and delicious, just waiting. That sense of anticipation, the yearning to eat it, to smell it and taste it, is what attraction feels like. Story 80. It depends. Is it a real attraction? Is it your body's chemistry, something you cannot control? Or is it your mind wanting and creating something that has not happened yet? It is a very complex feeling. Story 81. It feels like that ride that drops you 200 feet. You are nervous because you know what could happen. Then, bam, it drops and you feel great afterward. Once it happened to me, I was speechless. Story 82. In many ways, it is the same feeling one has for inanimate objects that catch one's eye. It may be due to their physical attributes, personality, or some intangible trait you simply cannot identify. You want to spend more time exploring and getting to know them, and you truly enjoy being around them. Story 83. My whole body reacts every time I see her, even if I have already seen her several times that day. Story 84. It can be exciting and sometimes sad. If you find someone attractive, it often means someone else did as well and got there first. There is nothing you can do about it. Story 85. It is not just about looks. I have met men who were pleasant to look at, but as soon as they spoke, they became unattractive to me. The opposite also happens. Someone may not be eye-catching at first, but they become attractive because they are funny and kind. You feel genuinely happy and excited to see them, and you hope they feel the same when you are not around. Your heart races a little when you are with them. Story 86. When they smile, you are happy for them. When they are sad, you are glad you can be there for them, but you feel sad as well. When they walk through the door, you feel like a puppy that has not seen its family all day. Story 87. Speaking about lust, not love. For me, it is a feeling of warmth and nerves rushing into your gut and shooting through your entire body. You feel nervous, tingly, and excited. It is a roller coaster, a firework, an adventure. Speaking about love, it is like a warm, weighted blanket on a cold day. It is a feeling of complete comfort and safety. When you are with someone or hug them, all the chatter, Stress, expectations, and responsibilities fall away, and you feel a quiet calm for a moment. I believe many people can inspire lustful attraction, and a handful can inspire love. But I believe there is one person for everyone who balances both perfectly. Hold on tight to that person as you go through this wild ride of life. Story 88. A big, fat ounce of dopamine hits my head, and it's like eating a Snickers bar without actually having one. Story 89. I want to be around them more often. I want to hold them and for them to hold me. I always want their opinion on everything I do. Story 90. As if the eternal void were inside your stomach waiting to say, I told you so. Story 91. When you run into someone, change your whole routine to try to run into them again, and feel sad when it does not happen. I have heard that. Story 92. It mostly feels like an obsession. You cannot think of anything else. It is a nice feeling, but it sometimes clouds your judgment, leading you to think rashly and act on impulse. Story 93. Being attracted to someone feels like a mix of excitement and nervousness. You might find yourself thinking about them often, feeling happy or energized when you are around them, and wanting to get to know them better. It is like having a special connection that makes you feel a little different and more alive. Story 94. You notice every feature all at once. Your stomach feels so fluffy and full of butterflies. The tone of their voice is like a siren. Story 95. I'm in unrequited love and it is a fucking nightmare. It is all I have thought about for nearly 2 years. She creeps into my mind the minute I wake up and stays there all day. I work with her and I really want to leave, but I have a job I adore that I will likely not find elsewhere because it is very specific to my workplace and situation. My mental health has been circling the drain for some time now. Story 96. Imagine your favorite food walks by. You want it and you want it to last. You want to savor every bite. You feel shy when the food is brought to you and nervous when you catch a glimpse of it. Finally, you get a bite and it is as delicious as you imagined. That is how I define it. Story 97. You feel nervous around them but also excited. They begin to occupy your mind, and you can't help smiling when you think about them. Story 98. It feels like you are giggling, but the sensation is throughout your whole body rather than only your face reacting to something trivial. Story 99. I am so excited to see him, talk with him, and be in his presence. I do not care what we are doing. I just want to be around him all the time. Fortunately, he feels the same way. Story 100. For me, personally, it is a shifting subject. When I see her, I feel weak and happy, even though she does not notice me. At other times, I feel terrible because I think I will not be good enough for her. Story 101. Euphoria if they like you too. Totally devastating if they do not. Story 102. I never noticed it myself, but people have told me what I am like. They said I always give people my undivided attention when they speak. They also said I always notice whether she is here or not, and when she is around I smile a lot more. When I asked them whether it was obvious that I liked her, they gave me a look that screamed, "Yes, you idiot," and then said, "Yes." I hope that clears it up. Story 103. She feels like the most special person in the world. I feel giggly and silly around my girlfriend. Sometimes I catch myself staring at her and thinking she is pretty. She feels safe like home. Note, I am asexual. I do not experience sexual attraction, so what I am describing is romantic attraction. Story 104. I am the most chill person you'll ever meet, but when I saw my crush on Saturday and she smiled, I melted into a puddle and turned bright red. Story 105. The world around me feels beautiful, and somehow I think everyone is in love too. It's a beautiful feeling. Story 106. A jolt of electricity runs through my body. Time stands still, and it feels like it is just the two of you in the room. Story 107. You often want to be around them but fear you will be overbearing. Realizing the attraction is mutual makes things both easier and more complicated. Story 108. Secret admiration feels like you cannot wait to see someone again, but it is unhealthy for you when you cannot be with them. Laughing out loud. Story 109. It is like you are addicted to drugs and that person is the drug. Story 110. I had butterflies in my stomach and felt woozy when I saw her, already missing her before I left her sight. That is how I felt when I met my wife 27 years ago. Story 111. It is actually annoying. I am very angry with her but cannot go too long without seeing her. I start getting anxious. Story 112. It drives you wild whenever you see them. You hear yourself saying how amazing they are in your head or when talking to yourself. Story 113. It is like waking up excited every day to see them. Even if it is cold or hot, even if you are sick or tired, you count every minute until you can meet them the next day. You become energetic and see beauty in everything. Story 114. Well, it's kind of like this. I'm gonna find my baby and hold her tight. Story 115. Like a fleeting desire, an unrealized dream. At the same time, there is a certain emptiness, as if you need a special someone to feel complete. That is the simplest way I can say it. Story 116. Imagine someone told you you were walking into a house where one of the rooms had money and someone was filming your reaction. You try to act normal, but your heart is thrumming. You unconsciously adjust your bangs and become acutely aware of your movements. Story 117. There is a woman at my work. She is a larger woman, but most of the time I do not notice her size because I find her very attractive. I cannot point to one particular feature I am drawn to, but my day is better when she acknowledges that I am there. Unfortunately, I become awkward when I try to talk to her because I get flustered. Story 118. Attracted. It is a wild feeling. Your heart rate rises. You feel sweaty. You laugh, smile, and talk a lot. In love, it is the exact opposite. You feel safe and confident. There is no more nervousness because there is no more threat. You can finally be quiet and at peace. Story 119. It is very similar to cute aggression. For example, when you see a kitten and want to squish its face, you might feel like biting it. Story 120. I get that butterfly feeling every time I talk to or see him. It never fades, and I always want to be near him. I smile whenever he is around. Story 121. Strong butterflies are a mix of an intoxicating feeling, like the buzz from a strong drink, and a deep pit in your stomach, like the drop at the start of a roller coaster. It is like your body is overwhelmed and you feel all your emotions intensely at once. Story 122. Sparks and fireworks in your chest and warmth when you are around them, as if drawn by a magnet. Story 123. Sorry for derailing, but I still remember the taste in my mouth from my first kiss, even after 70 years. I did not want to eat or drink for a day because I wanted to preserve its sweetness. Story 124. It feels like your brain goes on vacation and your heart decides to throw a party without telling you. Story 125. This all sounds very nice to experience. It would be nice to do so even once, laughing out loud. But no, definitely asexual and aromantic. Story 126. For me, it was hell. I could not think straight. I could not form clear sentences, and I constantly overthought everything I did. Story 127. You want to be with them and think about it. It hurts if they do not feel the same. Story 128. When my eyes meet hers, a sudden shiver runs from my legs to my neck, and I can't help smiling broadly. Story 129. You are always anxious to see him. You smile more. When you see his name on your cell phone, you instantly feel like you are 12 again. Story 130. It is when we appreciate a person's hobbies and the way they speak and find a good life partner in them. Story 131. For me, it is slowly realizing that I find them attractive and then utter disbelief. It is a feeling of unease and a bit of panic. I am a very serious and organized person, so when this happens, my brain just goes, what is happening? There are too many feelings at the same time. Story 132. You cannot get close enough to them. A song says slip into your skin and spend the night, and that is what you want. Plant kisses on their cheeks, be absorbed by them, and sleep soundly in their warmth. Story 133. Imagine having the worst day and just one person's hug can make it all go away. Story 134. When I was young, I felt like I was about to explode. Now it's more like meh. Having friends is good. Story 135. It depends. If you want to be attracted to them, that is fine. If you do not, it is hell on earth. Story 136. You cannot help but blush and give a big, genuine smile every time you hear their voice. This is especially true if you know them through Discord or a similar platform. Story 137. It feels like pleasant currents moving throughout your body. You feel energized and happy to sense them. Story 138. It's a bit like having a little more caffeine than you are used to. Not a huge amount, just enough that you notice and get a small burst of nervous, excited energy. It can be deeply embarrassing, though that reaction may be culturally learned rather than innate. It makes everything they say more interesting and makes every joke or quip funnier. You want to be around them and get their attention, even though it feels nerve-wracking because they suddenly seem very important. Story 139. I can feel her even when she is not there. Her taste, her touch, her smell. I can tell where she is in a crowded room. Story 140. When you see them or think of them, it feels like you have sat on a water jet at the swimming pool. Story 141. You constantly need to interact with them to replenish the rush you feel when you are around them. Story 142. Allow me to tell you a story. During my freshman year, I went on a field trip to a drama festival. There I saw a play. In it was a girl who I thought was the most beautiful person I had ever seen. My heart raced and I started to sweat. I spent the entire night in my hotel room anxious to return so I could see her again. Postscript. I did talk to her the next day, only to find out that she was 18, already dating, and a lesbian. Just my luck. Story 143. You are not going to feel it unless you experience it yourself. Story 144. The real question is, how do I know I have found my true love? In my experience, I am older. Everything is easy, and you feel it from the other person. Story 145. You feel nervous, but when you meet the person, you forget about it. Later, when you no longer see them, you wish you had talked less and listened more. Story 146. I knew my husband was the one. The more I got to know him, the more it felt like I was experiencing both cuteness, aggression, and lust at the same time. It was strange. Everything he did left me enthralled and happy to watch and learn about him. I wanted to hold, squeeze, or play because I have a hard time expressing things, and I also wanted sexual intimacy. No matter what he was doing or saying, I was attracted, interested, and happy. It varies case by case. For me, this was new and different, and we have been together happily for almost 7 years. Story 147. It feels amazing. You are constantly distracted, thinking about her. But it is also scary. What if she is not attracted to you? Story 148. For me, it is lust, desire, and a craving. I see him and I want to touch him, hold him, and kiss him. I need him. It is like when you are really thirsty and you need water. He smells amazing. I really want to give him a big hug and breathe into his chest, then close my eyes and lean into him for a minute. When he looks into my eyes, I feel intense butterflies in my stomach and heart. Everything he says is hilarious to me. I ask him questions just to hear his voice and see him smile. I want him to be happy. I think about him all the time. I am starting to think I am actually in love with my best friend. If only I could tell him how I feel. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.